We are shaking things up a little bit today on the podcast. I have Carrie White from the team on, and many of you know her as our operations ninja. She's also a newly licensed agent, and we are going to break down exactly how she is taking those 10 steps to batch her content and put them into action. So if you listen back to episode 177, I share how to batch work your social media content strategy, 10 easy ways. And I mentioned Carrie in this episode many times. So today she's actually going to share how she took those 10 things and how we're working on them to create an action plan for her. So this is really a workshop style podcast episode, totally different than anything we've done before. And I am so excited to dive in. Let's do this. You're listening to the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast, where we invite you to check your ego at the app, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to dive into all things real estate marketing, social media, friendship, hardship, love, money mindset, and all the things that celebrate you as a badass boss babe.
We're here to encourage you, show up for you, give you a loving kick in the pants when you need it most, and be your soft place to land on the hardest of days. So pull up a seat at our table and get ready to be inspired and start living your best life by design.
Welcome to the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast. We are so excited you're here.
Okay, girls, let's dive in.
Okay, Bus Bench Babes, today is going to be an extra special workshop style episode. Today we have Carrie White from our team, the BPR Experience, on. Many of you know her from previous episodes, and we talk about her all the time because we love her. She is our operations ninja and all the things, and also a newly licensed agent. And I've had the opportunity to work with her building her brand, and it has been such an incredible experience. So if you listen to episode 177, where I break down 10 easy ways to batch your social media content strategy, you would have heard me mention her, I don't know, Carrie, 5 or 6 times of how I should have her on, because we're actually doing this exact work together. So today, Carrie is going to share her action steps of how she took those 10 things and is putting them into action to actually do it, right? To execute. Many times we can be told, do something, or take these 10 things, here they are, but what do I do next? So today is that what's next.
Yeah,
right?
I'm so excited. It's like the nuts and bolts of it.
Yes. And like I said, we've never done an episode like this. We're hoping that you get a lot from it, and get that pen and paper out, get your notes app on your phone out, whatever you need to really start to dive into this. So welcome back to the show, Carrie.
Well, thank you. I love being here.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I'm actually sitting in her chair today. We're flip-flop. We're recording. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about you if they're new to you or they just need a little refresh?
Sure. So I joined the team in August of 2022, just doing a lot of general assistant work, and that grew into the operations. I really dug in and started doing more with the leadership team and all the back office stuff. And I got licensed in May of 2024.
Where she crushed. She flew through. She was so serious and dedicated. It was awesome.
Yeah, it felt really good. It was just kind of that logical next step to just learn more and be more hands-on with clients. And it's helping me, I do a lot of the team compliance. So all the transaction, I dig into each of those, and it's so much fun. But on the personal side, I am married. My husband and I are celebrating our 18th wedding anniversary.
That is incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible.
We have a 5-year-old daughter, Louise. I always joke we didn't want to rush into anything with having kids. So, and yeah, I live here in the West Metro of Minneapolis. So
you're the queen of Chan.
I do. I love Chanhassen. I love the area. Yeah, I'm just really excited to be here and dive into building my brand.
I'm so excited to be here with you, Carrie, because we've been doing this for a minute. And when we get together, it feels like it feels really easy, and I see you like light up and actually get excited to do it. So anyways, we're going to just dive right in here. So if you haven't listened to episode 177, I do think it'd be a really good one to go back to before you listen to this episode in full, or just listen to this episode and then use that episode 177 as a reference point. So, but we're going to keep referencing it and what I chatted about in that one. So first things first, when we talk about creating a brand or like actually executing, or not creating a brand, when we talk about executing your content strategy, the first thing you want to do is really carve out that time. So I always say do like 3 to 4 hours and really sit down and start to break down those pillars. So the first thing that we talk about in that episode 177, how to batch work, is to define your brand pillars. And so Carrie has her brand pillars. We've already done this previously, or this episode would be like 16 hours long. She has identified those brand pillars, and she knows who she's speaking to. She knows who her audience is. She's really, really fine-tuned this list. So let's go ahead, Carrie, and share with everyone what those brand pillars are. And then we can kind of take that and start to break down from there.
Yeah. So the first thing I have is like the real estate stuff. My role on the team, being a licensed realtor, I am a homeowner. So kind of all of those home things fall under this part of my brand. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I have a family that I love. So that's another pillar. I'm a very optimistic person, and just the easiest little things get me excited. So simple joys is one of my pillars. Just those easy everyday things that I can get excited about that, it's just so simple. I love organizing. I kind of know where everything is. Everything has a place. I like to DIY. I try to be productive. So that's kind of another part of my brand. Just being organized as best as possible. I'm not perfect. And then the last one is the self-growth. I'm always diving into something to like just get to know myself better, or I don't know, just do things. That's part of my human design, which I know you talk about all the time too, and we really love human design. So yeah, kind of fun stuff. Yeah. I feel really good about them.
Your pillars are soul aligned to you. And so if you're thinking like, oh my gosh, what are my brand pillars? Head back to episode 62 and 63, where Beth and I chat all about creating a real estate brand and really getting this foundation in place before you start to figure out what that looks like, those pillars, and how you're going to execute is really, really crucial. So hope that is everyone has, you're at least to that point listening to this episode to have a really good understanding of where Carrie's coming from and how you can implement that for yourself. So really sitting down and figuring out what those are your next steps. And you have these very beautifully, carved out that really feel like you.
Yes. And I could talk about these things. They come up naturally. It's very aligned with me. Yeah, they feel really good.
And they can serve at a really great level to your clients, to your community, all of that, which is super awesome. So after you've got those pillars, and which Carrie has, we talk about number 2 thing is to brain dump your ideas. So
this is the best part. It's so fun. Just get them all out. Yes.
So you can do this in so many different ways. You can do it in the Notes app on your phone. You can send yourself voice memos. You can write it on with a pen and paper, go into a Google Doc, whatever works really well for you. Carrie has, I don't know how you start, like what your starting process looks like, but right now we actually have like a content like calendar essentially, or like broken down into like a really pretty presentation, which we will share the visual for you. Head to girlgetyourfaceoffabusbench.com and check it out, or to our Instagram. We'll share it with you of what she's done. Very simple, but like visually appealing. So getting all of those ideas out. And during that episode 177, this is where I really mentioned you a lot, Carrie, of like bringing you on to the show, because we just did this and now we're doing it again. So really making it make sense for someone else. So we have your ideas right here in front of us. So we've already checked off 1 and number 2. So we're going to move right on to number 3, which is to go on your social media and for like 5 minutes. And this is like this is a surprising thing, maybe for many of you, for me to say go on your social media for 5 minutes. And it's not to go on anyone else's social media. It's to go on your page, right? Pull up your Instagram app, pull up your Facebook app. Those are the two apps I'd like you to reference for this. Kind of just let the other ones hang out for a minute and go see which posts are performing the best. Now, these do not have to be posts that have the most likes. They can be posts where, and they should be, I hate to say should, but I'm going to say should. They should be posts that you actually received engagement from. So when we think of Carrie as an example here, Carrie will send out an email, or for you, it's been, I think, a lot of, at least what I've heard, a lot of emails going out and then a response to your emails, right? So if you are newer to posting on social media, which Carrie is, you're newer to it, you're not using it a ton yet, you're like really kind of working that muscle and figuring out what'll work for you. Don't freak out. If you don't have that data to collect, don't freak out. You'll have it eventually. But if you can go on your social media or get into your emails, which one is connecting the most with my client? Again, not for the most likes, but where am I receiving feedback? Where am I hearing back from someone? I don't care if 500 people like a post. If you don't get any connection from it, it was just a well-liked post. Sure, it's helping your algorithm. But Carrie, if you're sending out an email and you get a response, come list my house, or you get a response like, this really motivated me, that's the win. Like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because that's what everyone else doesn't see. That's what we see on the back end. So really getting on there, spend like 5 minutes and figure out which post, emails am I doing, caption writing that is actually prompting someone to like receive it and then actually respond, right? What is prompting that response? So Carrie, would you like to share like a little bit about what you've done that has prompted a response? We'll maybe prioritize those things.
Okay.
Right?
Well, a recent email I sent out was about like a health journey that I've been on and really revamping my food, simplifying my food, and just working on meal planning and food prep. Like, totally not real estate related, but it's what I'm doing in my life. And a lot of people responded to that. It was, just one of those things like, I never grew up like knowing how to plan for the week. And now I figured it out. Like, and people wanted to know, what are you doing differently? Or what's your favorite meal or anything like that. Like, I simplified my breakfasts to where I really only rotate like 4 or 5 different breakfasts throughout the weeks. Like, I don't overthink it anymore. So that got a lot of engagement. I did share, I wrote out my 5 favorite breakfasts and people were interested. Like, just keep it simple. So that was one. So yeah, food prep, meal planning, that was a big one that got.
Let me just kind of pause you for a second, Carrie. So this is such a great example because you did something that was really personally aligned to you, that you could solve a problem for someone else, right? So sure, you're not it's not just about real estate or like your day-to-day operations on the team, but you're connecting on that human level. And this is a human-based business. So this is what we need to be doing, right? Our brands need to be human-based brands. So Carrie did that. She connected on that level with something and helped someone solve a problem, which that's a total win, right? You're serving them at a totally different level. So when we think about something we can be talking about of, I don't know, is anyone going to care about my health journey? Is anyone going to care about my breakfast? Obviously. Yeah. Right? So you don't know until you try.
They want a simple morning routine.
Who doesn't,
with their
right?
breakfast.
I mean,
exactly.
Mornings are nuts,
yes.
right? For pretty much every household. So really you took that the little problem that someone might be having and helped simplify it and solve it for them.
Yep.
And connecting at the same time.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
So such a great example. So it doesn't have to be breakfast. What is it for you, right? That thing where you can really connect. For Beth, a lot of it is design. That's a place that we really connect with the client and get the feedback. So really thinking of your brand pillars and looking at that is so important. Looking at those posts and seeing what's next. So number 4 is to take that one idea that makes sense and create at least 4 to 5 posts from it. So Carrie. This is where we're going to kind of get to work. So example, what Carrie just said, like those, really your health journey in general and simplifying that and like the food part of it, right? It's like a really big piece for you. So you can speak of whatever this is for you. Like this is a great place to start jotting down notes. Some other ideas would be, again, like Beth likes design. Carrie, what would be another one where you received quite a bit of engagement? back? Like another post or email that you've done?
Another email was kind of like my year end, just like recapping my year, wishing everyone a happy new year. And it was just really like, I went through the seasons. So like last winter and spring, just catching up, giving people an update. You know, it was just that end of year holiday, a good feeling.
Which we all want at the end of the year, right?
Yeah,
We all
nothing
want that.
not salesy and gross. And it was just like, hey, happy new year, and looking forward to, the coming year and new goals and 2025 and all the new things that come with that.
So sometimes emails like that we can think are just like a fluff email, right?
Right.
Or like, oh, we're just going to do this because everyone's doing the end of the year email. But there is connection in there, and there is like an ability for someone to feel seen within an email like that. So we rarely ever send just a fluff email. Even those like fluff emails, which is such a silly way to say it, but that's all I can really think of right now of how to say it is, if there's not like a ton of meat to them, there's still a purpose. There's still a simple purpose, and just it's the end of the year. We're all at the end of the year. Here are my goals, like to prompt someone to, oh, what are mine going to be, right? So really like opening up that door for what's next.
Yes, I did think of another one too that got a lot of engagement. Back to my organizing stuff was just keeping your digital contacts organized. I kind of sent my little tips and tricks of how I do that, and how it helps me with either sending out holiday cards or year-end cards, or keeping people's birthdays and contacts updated. So that got a lot of engagement because, you might have a handwritten address book, or you might keep it in Google Contacts, Apple Contacts, like just streamlining those. I think it was helpful people to see that and learn a different way to do it. Like,
yes. And again, you're solving another problem
Exactly.
that like many of us have. Like not all of us are super organized and like really into that area. So if we can find that easy button. Yeah. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm so here for it.
And
all
I'm
of that.
happy to help too. I'm like, let me organize your contacts.
I love it so much. Maybe you can start a side business, Carrie, organizing contacts. So there's so many ways to approach this, but gathering that information is really the first step to make it the easiest for you. You don't have to only use the most engaged posts or emails, or if you're just starting out and you don't know, just take one of your ideas that really feels good to you and start there. So let's go ahead and take that one idea, Carrie, and let's repurpose it 4 to 5 different ways. Now, this is something that I'm going to be really honest here and say it's very easy for me. I know it is not necessarily always super easy, but once you get started, does it get easier?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So let's take one of your ideas. Let's go into that, the one where you mention let's do the organizing, or let's do the food stuff, right? Like the changing of the simplifying.
Well, I think one that I'd love to kind of look at is like, so we're coming up on spring. Spring cleaning is a big thing. I'm a big fan of spring cleaning, but one way I can go with it is like spring cleaning doesn't just apply to your house. Like I love having my car detailed, or like cleaning out my car in the spring and just having a fresh, clean car. Mm-hmm. So there's like one route of spring cleaning. Another, I mean, the yards, it's maybe a little too early for that, but like, would spring cleaning be that kind of big idea that we can break down into those smaller posts?
100%. So if we're talking about posting like regularly on social media and email, right? And we're talking about hitting each pillar of your brand regularly, it doesn't have to be, and I think there was a little bit confusion maybe like earlier on in the process of building a brand of, it doesn't have to be that you hit all 5 in 1 week every single week, right? Like you might have a couple weeks where you have 2 of one, or if you're posting 5 times a week, or, the emails don't have to line up so perfectly. It's not this perfect science. It's just making sure it all flows really well and that you're really regularly hitting all of these pillars. So if we talk about the spring cleaning one, you already talked about the car, you talked about yard. So how can we repurpose this into, like, what else can you think of that would be helpful for someone else along those lines? And then we'll repurpose that into different ways for you.
So when I hit the different pillars, so like detailing my car, I have a car seat in my car. I am a mom.
I
have
love this.
a lot of kid, hats and gloves and all the rain boots and whatever in my car. So like that touches on my motherhood pillar. Even just all that winter gear in the closet, like the drop zone of my entryway, like having that kind of getting all that organized. Like there's different areas of the house I could focus on or touch on. I don't know,
there's so many things here. And I'm guessing that our listeners are also thinking of a million things too, because now we're all thinking, oh my God, that's right, I have to spring clean. Maybe we should have picked a different topic that wasn't like, no, I'm only kidding. So yeah, for sure. So I love like the basic car detailing. You can actually break that down probably 10 different ways, right? But if we approach it from the motherhood perspective too, like, the basics, how to like get that car seat, that whole situation, let's just talk about that. Like getting that under control, how to get your entryway organized crosses over into different pillars of your brand too. Like how to make that make sense, and then you can shift over. So this can be email and actual social media post easily. What other things can you think of for spring cleaning? I always think of house, right? I think of like inside your house.
Yeah,
for spring
maybe
cleaning.
having carpets, hire out the carpet cleaner.
Yep.
Or
just like simple things inside your house, which then goes right into your organization category too. So like when I think spring cleaning, I think like the windows, like getting all those, like the really deep cleaning, that kind of stuff, like getting ready to open those windows and like enjoy the not dead of winter in Minnesota again.
Right.
So many different ways to break that down and to serve at the same time, which then crosses right over into real estate of how to prepare your home to sell in the spring, right? So like so many different ways. Do you have questions? Like when we sort of break it down like that, Carrie, like do you have questions that come up for you of how to repurpose that?
Well, that one just really clicked, like how all the home maintenance, all the unglamorous stuff of home ownership can trickle right into, if you're thinking of moving, here are some things you'd also consider doing that you probably want to do anyways, but it would also help your house if you're preparing it to sell in the spring.
Something else too, so that we really almost have hit, maybe not on simple joys, although you do really like cleaning. So that might hit your simple joy category. But if we think about this here too, now when I think of you posting on social media and tagging, right? Or like asking for someone to engage with you, if you're sharing a product that you're using, if you're sharing something that simplifies organizing for Louise, like the car seat into the home, something that you're using, you can create a lot of engagement with that. And I know that you have sent emails with certain products within them that you use as a mom. And there's different ways that we can do that. And not to sell it, like we don't all have to be affiliate selling or even just selling with an Amazon link or whatever. That's not what I'm saying here. That's a different process. But if you just want the engagement, oh my gosh, Carrie, where did you find that container? Great. DM interaction, right? That's a win. Or like an email response of, I so need to do this. Can you help me? Or like, no, you're not hiring out for this. But like, where did you get, what cleaner do you use on your car seat or whatever that ends up being? Like you create that engagement and that back and forth from just a very simple idea, which is such a bigger idea in the end.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to move on from there. Basically, what you want to do is if you're doing this yourself, you want to take this one idea and whatever that is for you and break it down as many times as you can, repurpose it as many times as you can until you can't repurpose it anymore. So Carrie and I are not going to do that because we will be here for 3 hours with just her cleaning idea. But do that so you can really start to brainstorm of ways and then think of your clients, think of who you're going to be speaking to and which one of these ideas makes the most sense. Like how do I kind of narrow this down to put it into posts? Right? Okay, so number 5 is, can you revisit the post with most engagements, but from a different way? So this is really relevant to what we just talked about, Carrie. So do you have more information now? Does it make sense? Is it still relevant? Have you changed your perspective on it? So when we think of one idea, has anything changed for you? And when I go back to, and I know there's a lot of realtors listening to this, but let's just go right back to this cleaning category, spring cleaning, because it's so easy. And I think you can just kind of, it makes you like, maybe in your brain, it helps you think about how it doesn't have to be so literal in your business. It can be other things, right? So when I think about, can we revisit a post? So let's just say you talk about the cleaning of the car seat and all that jazz. If you talked about that when Louise was 2 versus talking about it when she's 5, you're revisiting that same exact thing. It's a very different process. You have very different problems or like, solutions that you need to come up with. So when we think about that, organization in your home is very different as your child just evolves, right? Like from that process of like the entryway and what it needs to look like. So if we just take that one simple thing and think of how Carrie will approach that in a year, 6 months, a year, it's going to evolve as you do. Like, and that's that new information coming in. Now, if we break this down a little bit more into real estate, let's just take something super simple like interest rates, right? I know we're all like so sick of talking about this, but if you talked about interest rates 6 months ago, you're going to be you have a different perspective as of 2025. We're done with the election year. Like we're now in 2025. That perspective has changed. And then we go 6 months from now. So you can continue to go back because you have new information. You may have new perspective and you can kind of run with it from there. Right. Is that connecting for you? Okay,
yep.
Great. So really thinking about that. And that's where we can really make something like we're able to use it so much longer. Interest rates, for instance, have a shorter shelf life, which is why they're really easy to revisit. But being a mom, it's a long game, right? So like that's something where you have that constant same issue, but it evolves as you go. So you can really repurpose that.
Totally.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go to number 6, which is to focus on posts that have a longer shelf life, evergreen posts, and then trying to get them to perform longer and longer and longer. So I sort of like got ahead of myself there. But once we identify our pillars and we think about what will last longer. So if Carrie, for instance, if you're going to speak about spring cleaning specifically, okay, cool. You can talk about it really relevant to the spring. But then your overall idea, the overarching idea is just cleaning and organizing in general, right?
Yep.
So you can revisit that many different ways. So if you want to revisit cleaning your car, all these different ways, organizing your car, you can do that and not just only be strictly stuck in spring.
Right.
So it's a way to like repurpose it as you go without actually having to like drop the whole idea. Now, when we just say like spring market interest rates, here's what you need to know, it's done, right? It lives for the spring and then it's done. But we can still take that idea, revisit it for summer, revisit it for fall.
I'm already feeling like, okay, I might have a new trunk organizer that I want to share. That car organization. Realtors live in their cars. A friend bought me like the steering wheel shelf. So if I need to eat on the road, you just pull over. This thing connects to your steering wheel and you have a little desk that you
sounds
can
amazing.
eat. Yeah. So like sharing those, it's still all car organization related, just in a different way.
And it ties right back into work too, which is really great. So this is where ideas really, there's very few things that we post that we can't revisit if we look at them from a different perspective. And that is where we can really repurpose and not run out of ideas ever. You could never change your pillars, Carrie, and you could literally, the content I see in front of you right now, those captions, you could only have those indefinitely and continue to repurpose, and not have to gather more. So we have this idea, I think, a lot of times where we need so much information and all this new information. And yes, of course, we need to be a knowledge broker in this industry, obviously, right? You do need that new information, but it is not as complicated as we are making it.
Yes.
And that's what I'm hoping comes across in this episode here. Really, it's that connection with the client, with who you are speaking to. So, another way that we do this with Beth is that we using her design and repurposing that throughout. It's a really evergreen part of her business that's so easy to go back to. And when we think about the evergreen post versus the now post, right? Like this week, this is what happened in interest rates. And you talk about that. Spending less time on posts that die, right? They're a one and done and they die, and more time on posts that are evergreen. And when I say posts, I'm also including emails in this and any sort of other connection that we're making. We as a team are not going to spend hours and hours and hours on that, like what happened with interest rates this week, most likely, unless there's like, we're going down to like 3%. We're going to talk about that a lot, but I don't think that's happening. But if we're going to talk about how we can help a first-time home buyer like navigate the home buying process and all that we can bring into that, we're going to repurpose. So we're going to spend more energy and time on that.
Yes.
Does that make sense too?
Yes.
So really, you'll see a lot where a lot of energy is spent on something that's going to die, and you really want to think about it. My energy is going into this, my time. How can I make this as evergreen as possible? And when we say evergreen, it's just that how do we give it the longest shelf life as possible? Because a social media post, very short shelf life, which is why you can talk about the same thing, literally the same thing, over and over and over again. Not back to back, but we have to hear it many different times, many different ways for it to sink in. So not just talking about spring cleaning, talking about real estate, talking about your simple joys, motherhood, all of that jazz also falls into that.
So like one thing that, has a shorter shelf life that is also kind of part of my pillars. I love touring the parade of homes, and that is, it has a shelf life. There are only certain weekends and then it's done. But I do want to share about those. Either I can help share that what homes are available to tour, what I'm seeing, what trends are out there. Like, it's so much fun. If you haven't done the Parade of Homes, I highly recommend it. But, that's going to die. But so I don't need to spend too much time on that topic, but it does it can parlay into different pillars as well.
Yes, it can. And so something to think about too, Carrie, is if we have something that has a really short shelf life, right? Mm-hmm. That like maybe one and done or a couple times and done or just not going to live that long. When we're in it, let's make it make the most sense to get the most engagement, right?
Yep.
So
have
if you're
fun
touring,
with it.
have fun with it. Yeah, have fun with it. Who are you with? That kind of thing. And always have the end goal be something else. So the end goal isn't like getting people to go to the Parade of Home with you. Maybe it is, right? Maybe that's the end goal. But how am I going to spin my email to make it make sense to my clients after the Parade of Homes are done? So what other information am I providing? Example of what Beth has done. Parade of Homes, we'll talk about it and like the excitement of it. She'll share on social media that she's going, who she's going with, that kind of thing. Then we're going to follow up later with a design trend that we saw in a home that we're obsessed with. And then we run from there. Yes. So then you can take that content and make it last just a little bit longer. And it shifts right back into what you're doing regularly to serve with that evergreen content.
Absolutely.
So it's not like a loss, and those posts are important, right? Everything doesn't have to live for years. But how do we make it make sense so we can gather information and then move it somewhere else? It needs an exit place so we don't lose it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you still want some more ideas on how to really figure out how to repurpose content, head back to episode 72, 10 easy ways to repurpose content too, which is super helpful if you have that one idea and you want to really break it down. All right, so number 7, and this is really kind of where we're at, Carrie, is to start writing. So this is a place where we can really get stuck. My arm is literally raised. Carrie,
both
over here,
of my arms are raised.
We just did our human design. You and Beth and I, we had a session with Maggie Hilpish. Oh my gosh, Maggie, did I just say her name correctly? She's amazing, and we identified that my ideas run too quickly, that I need like a shut off valve, and it paralyzes me from actually writing a lot of times. So lesson learned, I learned this and now I'm like, yeah, exactly. So this can be really where we get stuck, whether it's we have too many ideas, we don't know where to start, or whether it's just we have too much to do and writing is hard, right?
Right.
Or we just feel like we have no ideas, or biggest one probably that's not that important. No one's going to care. We tell ourselves a story of why we don't need to write this. So can you share a little bit about your experience with, you have all this information and to actually write?
Yes.
That.
So I have been in the spot of nobody cares. No one's going to read this. Why should I write this? And that's just not true. Like, you can't have that mindset. So luckily, I feel like I've overcome that. But part of my human design that Maggie pointed out was I am very collaborative. Like, I can't just sit by myself. Like, Christy and I get together and I get so excited, and I know the theme of my content and where I want to go. And then it's like I'm left alone to write. And that's where I get stuck.
You shut down.
I
Yeah.
shut down. And so part of my human design is like I crave like other creative people around me to bounce ideas off of, or so I just haven't gotten in that real rhythm of how I'm getting the captions written. I know Beth, her process is she has a certain not a podcast, but a certain playlist that she listens to, and she gets in the zone and she gives herself mantras. She says, I am creative, and the words flow right through me. So I am, this is where we are. I just need to start writing. That's where I'm at.
You are not alone, for sure.
Yes.
So let AI be your friend here. Don't only use AI. Okay. So we've talked about this too, how AI can't replace your business on a previous episode. And a lot of us are using too much AI. It is very, very obvious. But if you're totally stuck and you just like don't know what to say, let AI help you get started here. And if not, though, you're like, that's going to be too much. I don't want to do that. You can just like start writing, basically. You just like actually have to start writing. So many times when we start writing, we write that one thing. And this has happened, Carrie, with many of your emails that I've read. They're so great. When we storytell, which you are a storyteller, I am also a storyteller, which if you are a storyteller, or you can really use this as a tool in your business, storytelling is one of our most powerful tools. I have done 2 podcast episodes on the power of your story and why it matters, a part 1 and 2. So if you haven't checked those out, definitely do that. But if you find that once you start writing, there's just a lot there, you can probably break that down into a lot of other posts, other emails. So for instance, Carrie, I'm pretty sure every email that we have or that I've ever read of yours, we have been able to break down more and more and more, or like pluck, 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 pluck. This is a topic. This is a topic. This is a topic. So when we think of writing, just think of one thing to write about. Don't think of your entire content calendar. Just think of one thing to write about. And the beauty in this is once we start to write and we write more, and once we really understand our brand, so if we have identified that our brand is truly aligned to us, that our pillars make sense for us and our business, you will notice that once you write, the majority of your writing touches on every single pillar of your brand. So I think this is like the beauty and the secret sauce of all of this, because you get to actually then say, oh my gosh, wait, I did talk about motherhood. I did talk about my simple joys. I did talk about my health journey. I talked about real estate in some way in most of everything that I'm writing. So write that big email, right? That's where I would start. I know Beth does it the opposite. She does her social media first and then kind of flips it, where storytellers' email is most likely going to be your easier place to start. So take your one idea, write everything you can, even if it's really long, and then sit back and look at it. Like, this is where it gets really fun. At least this is where I find a lot of joy in it, Carrie. And I've seen like you light up during this process too. So maybe it's like a storyteller sort of thing. I don't know. Or like it connects, right? It's where it really starts to make sense. So write on that one topic. I don't care what pillar of your brand you pick, just pick one and write. And then look at it and figure out if you've touched on more. And then what ideas can I pull from there? Carrie, I know I'm putting you on the spot here and you probably haven't prepared for this, but do you have an example of an email where we have done this?
Yes.
You do?
Well,
okay, awesome.
From the last time, I think it was a couple months ago, I was talking about my health journey, and I just was, people started noticing changes in me. So I'm like, I do want to write about this and share and be vulnerable and share the struggle, like where I was at, kind of rock bottom, and how, like what little steps I started taking. And then you read that email and like we pulled out, I don't know, I'm seeing maybe a dozen.
It was at least a dozen.
Yeah.
Yes, at least.
Breakout posts that could come of that. And, it's all kind of circles back to the health journey, but also could help people who either are in a similar position or just want some some challenge. Like I didn't go to a restaurant for 30 days. That was part of it. And why that worked for me and just kind of reset my mind.
The story and just where like you felt like when you're on the airplane, like that story,
yes,
that was in itself, right?
Yeah.
Something there. You guys need to get on Carrie's email list. It's awesome.
So the like even going into the restaurant challenge, so no restaurants for 30 days. Well, then I spin that into I'm planning better meals for my family at home instead. So there's, again, that motherhood thing. Oh, I redid my dining room. There's a real estate piece. My dining room is like my happy place right now. It's so beautiful. So it does. And all of this ties into self-growth, of course. Simple joys. I belong in the kitchen. I'm very creative in the kitchen. So it really did touch on every part of the brand.
And it reached, right?
Yeah.
It really connected with others, which is winning.
Yeah.
So that's taking that one email. I remember standing at Best Counter and next to you and you're like, okay, here it is. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much here. Like, this is amazing. And so this is my hope for you. And if this doesn't happen for you, that's okay too. You could just be more into shorter posts. That's okay. Then you can probably get a few posts out, when you start writing. But if you are a storyteller, try it this way. Just try it. Write that full email and then try to break down.
Yes.
And I think what we're going to do, Carrie, just because this is I think this is going to be the most helpful and really keeping this workshop style is doing a part 2 to this episode where let's go ahead and share your email and how we did it. And let's go ahead and share your content grid of what you have because we've only really talked about 2-ish topics on there
right.
and what we're actually doing with this, what she's actually posting. So then you can see that. I think that we'll do that. So stay tuned for that, but we're going to keep going with this. Okay. So number 8 is we talked about planning your post, figuring it out, and not obsessing about the algorithm. Just kind of pick a time of day, commit to it, and start to collect your analytics and your data. So that's really after we start posting is what we're going to do. Same with your emails. Once you start sending them, you need data to collect to begin with. So don't listen to what someone else is telling you of when you should post on social media. I don't think you should probably post at like Friday at midnight. Maybe not a good idea. But reasonable time, stick to it so you can collect those analytics and go from there. Okay, that was actually number 9. Number 8 was to plan your post. So to figure out what makes sense for you and queue it up. So Carrie, we're going to actually do that on our next episode. We're going to take these posts and we're going to let's do 2 weeks. Let's show where these make sense and how to queue it up and what you're actually going to do. And then they can check out your social media and see it live. Does that sound good?
This sounds amazing.
Okay, awesome. Number 10 was to don't overthink it. Let's chat a little bit about that. I really, overthinking it is so paralyzing and really it doesn't have to take you 10 hours to get this out. It really doesn't.
Right. I feel like as a storyteller, that is definitely where I get paralyzed. I want to encompass the whole story and learning how to break it down is the key. Just breaking it down. I don't need the entire story in one post. I can break it down into multiple posts.
You can also share it all in one post or email and then break it down from there and talk about it again, which we have done too, right? Like that email, you didn't really take a ton out. It was like, oh, here's an idea for later. Here are all these ideas that we're going to now go back to. So I think that's really where the magic is too. You give the overall of what's going on. This is like the big thing. And then here's the little steps I took along the way, or here's the little things that I did to get to this point. So that is also really helpful and a way for your clients to go back and read and say, oh yeah, I remember her talking about this. It's getting that comfortability for them to be vulnerable and for them to open up to you as well, which creates that connection. Know, trust, boom, stop overthinking it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my favorite one.
Oh my gosh.
And you need to hear it 100 times before it sinks in.
I think maybe 300 for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So Carrie, is there anything else you'd like to share before I think we're going to do the rest on episode 2, just so this doesn't get so long and overwhelming? We're going to do a part 2 to this where we're actually going to share exactly what you are posting. So we have episode 177 where we broke down the 10 ways to, oh my God. We broke down 10 ways to batch your social media content. This episode, we've broken down of how Carrie is doing it and more into her brand. And then the next episode, we will go ahead and break down or share with you exactly what she's putting into action.
Yes.
Does that sound good?
Yeah. And the only thing I would add is if you're new at this, like I am, I'm not real active but I'm getting there, and it's me putting content out there that is authentic to me. I'm not trying to copy anyone or see what's trending and just follow that along. You are authentic. Like, you are you. People want to hear from you. So just put it out there. Like, and that's where the don't overthink it comes in. Like, oh, it has to be perfect before I can hit send. No, it doesn't. Like, people just want to hear from you. So that's a major thing I've learned over the last couple years from working with Christy. So it's been a lot of growth. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. So let's do it.
I love that. Okay, mic drop, Carrie. Okay, Best Friends Faves. So I hope this episode was inspiring. Let us know what you thought. Hit us up on social media. Shoot us an email. We'd love to know if this workshop style is really helpful for you so we can continue on and to serve you in the best way. So thank you, Carrie, so much for being here and for opening up. The next one is going to be even a deeper, more vulnerable look into Carrie's brand and business. I'm really excited for it. So until next time, remember to keep your face off a bus bench and be the badass boss babe that you are. Okay, girls, are you feeling as inspired as we are? We're over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast.
If you want more, head over to girlgetyourfaceoffabusbench.com for show notes and more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. They mean the world to us, and they're what keep us going.
Girl, thanks for being here.